There are 58 million millionaires in the world right now, but there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin. And that's assuming all the Bitcoin is still accessible, which we know isn't true. Millions have already been lost forever, and this simple math problem is about to create one of the greatest wealth transfers in human history. In this video, I'm going to break down why the world's wealthy are quietly accumulating Bitcoin and why literally there isn't enough for all of them to own just one, and why this matters for you even if you're not a millionaire yet. And in case you're new here, my name is Moncada. I'm the founder of adspend.com. I've built a multi-seven-figure agency scaled to over $350,000 months, and I help coaches, consultants, course creators, and agency owners scale using YouTube ads and AI systems. And I'm also super passionate about Bitcoin because we live in a world where AI is quickly disrupting everything, and dollars are being printed into oblivion. So today, we're talking about a fascinating reality that most people haven't grasped yet. There are far more millionaires in the world than there will ever be Bitcoin. So this is the reason why I'm making this video. I saw this and I thought this is what most people still haven't realized yet. There are 58 million millionaires in the world, but only 21 million Bitcoin, and a little less since many holders will not sell. So how many Bitcoin per millionaire? That's 0.33 Bitcoin per millionaire, and there are 58 million millionaires in the world. Public companies, private companies, and governments already hold 1.7 million Bitcoin. And if you look at this tweet underneath, which somebody commented on this picture, he said definitely less than 21 million. 4 million Bitcoin has already been lost, otherwise unattainable. The math is incredible. 60 million millionaires, 3,000 billionaires, 300 million businesses, 200 countries, and 95% of Bitcoin has already been in circulation. Completely inelastic supply. The world doesn't understand true scarcity or finite. Soon it will. Now, the reason why this is so important is because Bitcoin has a hard cap of 21 million coins. That's it. No more can ever be created. It's written in code. And unlike dollars or any other fiat currency that you and I are used to using, no one can decide to just print more Bitcoin. But here's where it gets even more interesting. We know that millions of Bitcoin are already lost forever. People have lost their private keys, they threw away hard drives, or passed away without sharing their seed phrases. Conservative estimates suggest that at least 3 to 4 million Bitcoin are permanently inaccessible. So for example, check out this news article from the other day. This is James Howells, and James Howells apparently lost 8,000 Bitcoin. Here's what it says. After over a decade, James Howells has finally given up his search for a hard drive he accidentally threw away in 2013 that held 8,000 Bitcoin, now worth over 950 million. By 2030, it could be valued at 8 billion. James has been searching for this hard drive in this dumpster, this trash waste sort of land for about 10 years. 10 years to try to find 8,000 Bitcoin, which again, just means that out of the 21 million, 8,000 is accumulated from James, but he will no longer be able to access those, and probably nobody ever will. So now we're down to maybe 17 to 18 million Bitcoin that can actually circulate according to some estimates, and many of those are held by early adopters who have no intention of selling. This creates one crazy mathematical problem. If every millionaire in the world wanted just one Bitcoin, more than 2/3 of them would be completely out of luck. There simply isn't enough to go around. And we haven't even talked about billionaires yet, who might want to own thousands of Bitcoin, or corporations, or governments, or states, or cities. The supply-demand ratio is insane when you really think about it. Now you might be thinking, Brian, I'm not a millionaire yet, so why should I even care about this problem? Here's why this matters for everyone, not just entrepreneurs and business owners or millionaires. When a scarce asset is desired by people with significant resources, the price discovery process can be dramatic. We're not talking about some collectible that only appeals to a very niche group of people. We're talking about what many believe is the hardest money ever created during a time when traditional currencies are being debased at historic rates. Think about it like this. Imagine you're at an auction with 58 other people, but there are only 21 21 items available. And these items are not just collectibles, they're lifeboats in a world where the economic ship is taking on water. Like the Titanic, the ship is going to sink. It's just a matter of when. So how high do you think the bidding for these 21 lifeboats would go if there are only 58 people? This isn't theory, okay? We're already seeing it happen. Major corporations like Strategy have been accumulating Bitcoin aggressively. Wealthy individuals are quietly building positions, and even countries like El Salvador have made Bitcoin legal tender. The wealthy understand something fundamental. In a world of infinite money printing, owning a piece, a single piece of this truly scarce digital asset isn't just an investment, it's insurance against the devaluation of everything else. So if there's not even enough Bitcoin for every millionaire to own one, then what about everyone else? This is where the beauty of Bitcoin's divisibility comes in, and most people still don't understand this yet. But one Bitcoin can be divided into 100 million Satoshis, or sats for short. Think of these like cents to every dollar. This means you don't need to own one whole Bitcoin to own the world's first digitally scarce asset. You can own a fraction for 0.1 or 0.01 or even just a few thousand sats. And this is where the opportunity lies for those who aren't millionaires yet. While the wealthy might be fighting over whole coins, the average person can still accumulate Satoshis. Think about it this way. If Bitcoin continues to be adopted globally and becomes a major reserve asset, owning even a small fraction could be significant in the future. For example, take a look at this. This is a tweet from Wealth Squad Chris, CJ Johnson, where he says, "You think you're late to Bitcoin because it's at 115K. I think I'm early to Bitcoin because it's 2 trillion market cap of 1 quadrillion in global assets. That's 0.2%. In 1994, the internet reached 0.2% of the world's population. Were you late to the internet in 1994? No, the party hasn't even started yet. And you can see it right here. Bitcoin's market cap is about 2.3 trillion, give or take, depending on who you ask. Now, if you look at gold, that's 22 trillion. Art, cars, and collectibles, 27 trillion. Equities, 135 trillion. Real estate, 370 trillion. Bonds, 318 trillion. And money, 129 trillion. Now, let me ask you, in a world where everything is going to become more and more digital and AI is going to disrupt everything, do you think people are going to continue holding on to real estate or to bonds when the money is currently being debased? If Bitcoin just went to $22 trillion, like gold, 22 trillion market cap, that would put Bitcoin at $1 million per coin. So if you just invested 0.1 or 0.01, your investment would probably 10x over that time frame. And this is predicted to happen in probably the next 3 to 5 years, depending on who you ask. So are you actually late? No, I believe we're still early, which is why I'm even talking about this. This is why I've been telling my friends, family, and you this for the last few months now. You don't need to go all in to try to buy one Bitcoin if you don't have the resources, but having 0 Bitcoin will actually be riskier in the future for you and your family. I truly believe that. Let me show you something that really drives this point home. In 2015, you only needed to work about 13 hours at the average wage to buy one Bitcoin. By 2020, that had increased to 380 hours. Today, it's around 3,800 hours at the average wage, which is almost 2 years of full-time work just to accumulate one Bitcoin. And this trend will continue to rise. Where do you think it'll be by 2030? As the wages continue to decrease, or I should say, the money continues to decrease in value, and your income might be going up, but it's because it's costing you more to live your life every day. Why? Because the currency is constantly being printed and it's becoming less and less valuable. And this trend will continue as more wealthy individuals and institutions realize the mathematical reality we're discussing today. What we're witnessing is potentially one of the greatest wealth transfers in human history. But unlike previous wealth transfers that typically benefited those who were already wealthy, Bitcoin has created a unique opportunity where early adoption matters more than initial wealth. The person who bought Bitcoin back in 2013 with a few $100s now potentially has more Bitcoin than a millionaire who's just waking up to this reality in 2025. This is unprecedented. Throughout history, wealth has typically been transferred in ways that benefit those who already have capital or connections. But Bitcoin has created an opportunity where those who understand it early, like you watching this video, and take the risk risk to invest in it and hold it have always been rewarded, regardless of their starting position. And we're still in the early phases of this wealth transfer. The majority of millionaires and financial institutions haven't bought any Bitcoin yet. When they do, and math does what math does best, the supply shock will be significant. Take a look at this. This is how many people today apparently own any Bitcoin. Only about 750,000 people own 1 Bitcoin. Only about 110,000 people own 10 Bitcoin. Only about 9,750 own 100 Bitcoin. And 1.5 million Bitcoin, or 7.5 of the total supply, are already lost. Individuals hold 14 million Bitcoin, which is 67% of the supply. And businesses hold 1.15 million, which is 5.5% of the supply. So what we're witnessing now is the redistribution from individuals to businesses, funds, and governments. Are you one of the 750,000 whole coiners? And this is true. If you don't own 1 Bitcoin now, it'll be almost impossible for you to own one in the future. And look, I'm not saying this to create more FOMO, although it already is happening. I'm saying this because understanding this simple math problem we started with, 58 million millionaires, only 21 million Bitcoin, helps you understand why this asset behaves the way it does and why its long-term trajectory will continue despite the short-term volatility. So what should you do with this information? Let me give you some practical takeaways to actually use and implement right away. First, buy Bitcoin, okay? I'm not gonna say go all in overnight, but like I said, having 0 will literally be riskier than having a small allocation. Even just 0.01 or 0.1 Bitcoin puts you ahead of most people globally. And don't wait and try to time the market to buy at a lower price. I've made this mistake so many times over the last few years. That's why you'll hear people constantly say everybody buys Bitcoin at the price they deserve, because most people try to time the market. Most people don't take the time to actually understand it and learn it, and that's why they end up paying more for it. So buy Bitcoin now before you have to buy it at a future price that's even higher. Second, think long term here, okay? The millionaire problem we discussed isn't going to resolve itself overnight. This is a multi-decade transition we're witnessing. Don't get caught up in the day-to-day price movements and get freaked out. Just buy and hold and be okay with the price going up and down over the next few years, because in 4 years, you'll be glad you own some as opposed to none. And you'll be pleasantly surprised to see just how much your Bitcoin has increased in value. Third, put your Bitcoin in self-custody immediately. Get it off the exchanges as quickly as possible. As Bitcoin becomes more scarce and valuable, having direct ownership through self-custody becomes increasingly important. Get a hardware wallet and learn how to use it properly. Once you do, you can become your own bank and have full and total control over your hard-earned money. No more middleman, no more people asking you, why do you need to pull out your money? It's yours free and clear, which is true self-sovereignty. Fourth, dollar cost average every single month. Rather than trying to time the market, I recommend personally investing whatever your budget allows every week or every other week automatically. Now again, if you don't have any Bitcoin, I personally believe you should one-click buy as much as you possibly can sooner versus later. But after you do that, I do believe a dollar cost average strategy every single week or every other week would be smart for most people. This strategy helps manage the volatility while ensuring you're accumulating more and more Bitcoin over time, regardless of the price. Just make sure you make automatic transfers every single week or every single other week so that way it happens automatically without you having to think. And finally, continue educating yourself. This is not financial advice and I am not a financial advisor. I am simply a business owner, entrepreneur, new father, husband, son, and brother who wants to help my friends and family. The more you understand about Bitcoin, monetary history, and the current financial system and how it works, the more conviction you'll have in this decision. I say this to my friends and family all the time, but once you learn what money actually is and what the current money we're using isn't, you can't unsee this. The simple reality is this: there are 58 million millionaires in the world, but only 21 million Bitcoin that will ever exist. And as more wealthy individuals and institutions wake up to this mathematical reality, the competition for this scarce asset will 100% get even crazier. Do everything you can now to build a business, scale your business, and invest any excess profits personally into Bitcoin. At least that's what I'm doing. And if you're a coach, consultant, course creator, or agency owner who wants to automate your client acquisition and scale using YouTube ads and AI systems, then click the link in the description to join my school community, apply to work with me, or become a member of my high-ticket mastermind. And if you want to watch my video on why I sold my $50,000 Rolex all gold day-date presidential to buy more Bitcoin, you can watch it right here. I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.